I grip my water glass tighter, my knuckles whitening as Charlotte's words cut through the room like broken glass. "So next week I'll be moving into your place," she says with a casual smile, as if she's just announcing she's switching to almond milk or taking up yoga. Across the table, my father beams, popping open a bottle of champagne, pouring it into crystal flutes I've never even seen before. My mother's best china gleams under the chandelier, the kind she only brings out for Thanksgiving or Christmas. That should have been my first clue. This isn't just Sunday dinner. It's a setup. And Charlotte? She's sitting at the head of the table like she already owns the house. "I've already started packing," she continues smoothly, raising her glass as if it's a toast. "It shouldn't take me more than a day to get everything moved in." My parents exchange knowing glances, nodding as though this insane idea is the most reasonable plan in the world. My father raises his glass. "To new beginnings." Everyone lifts their flutes in agreement, everyone, except me. Inside, the fury builds. I look at the manila envelope in my purse, the one I almost left in the car, the one holding a secret that would shatter their perfect little ambush. They think they've won. But tonight I've got news of my own. Charlotte smirks, swirling her champagne like she's celebrating early. "You'll love it," she says. "You'll have company and I'll save on rent for a while. Win-win, right?" My parents nod along, their eyes glimmering with approval, as if my consent is nothing but a formality. I lower my glass, my hands trembling, not from nerves but from fury. I reach for my purse. My fingers close around the manila envelope, the one I almost left behind. And then, place it right in the middle of the table. The laughter fades. The room falls silent. "Actually," I say, my voice calmer than I feel, "I have news too." My mother's smile falters, her eyes narrowing. My father lowers his glass slowly, his forehead creasing. "What kind of news?" My mother asks, her tone sharp, half warning, half threat. The labels hover in the air, unspoken but familiar, selfish, difficult, ungrateful. I press the envelope forward. "This," I say, sliding the papers free, "is the sale agreement for my house. I sold it last week. 30 days and I'll be gone." The silence is absolute. Charlotte's champagne glass slips from her hand, shattering against the hardwood floor. No one moves to clean it. My father's jaw opens and closes like a fish yanked out of water. "You what?" Charlotte whispers. I flip open my phone and turn the screen toward them. A Pinterest board fills the display, carefully labeled Charlotte's new room. "Funny," I say, "while you were planning to move in, Mom and Aunt Linda were already designing your future bedroom." In my house. Their faces go pale. 9 years of savings, sacrifices, late nights, my dream home, reduced to just another piece of property for Charlotte's convenience. And for the first time, I'm not the one sitting quietly while my life is written for me. My father shoots to his feet, his voice booming across the table. "You can cancel the sale. These contracts always have cooling-off periods. Just call your agent and fix this nonsense." My mother rises too, her hand clutching his arm like she's keeping him from exploding. "Grace," she says softly, her voice dripping with warning, "we already promised Charlotte she could stay as long as she needed. You can't possibly expect her to find another place in just 30 days. At the far end of the table, Aunt Linda clears her throat. "Actually, we were going to move most of Charlotte's things next Tuesday while you were at work, just to make it easier for everyone." My chest tightens. The betrayal feels coordinated, rehearsed, like a play they've been staging for months. Dorothy, my mother's oldest friend, sits quietly beside her, staring at her plate. She doesn't meet my eyes, but her silence speaks volumes. "You can't do this," my father says again, his voice sharpening. "What about your property taxes?" "You know I always help with those." His help. His once-a-year check, now dangled like a chain around my neck. My mother tilts her head. her tone suddenly soft and condescending. Grace, honey, I'm worried about you. This kind of impulsive decision isn't like you. Are you sure you're all right? Ah, there it is. The oldest trick in their book. If I won't comply, then I must be unwell. Charlotte slams her glass down, tears spilling onto her cheeks. You did this on purpose, she cries. You knew I needed a place to stay, and you sold your house just to spite me. Her accusation hits like a slap. That's how it always is. My boundaries rebranded as cruelty. My independence twisted into selfishness. For a moment, I want to explain the roof repairs, the broken water line, the heating system collapse. But why? They've already cast me as the villain. Explaining would only give them more weapons to use against me. I breathe deeply, steadying myself. I made this decision for my own reasons, I say firmly. And it's final. My mother's voice rises, sharp and shrill. So you're just going to leave your sister homeless? After everything we've done for you? Her words slice through the air like knives. The guilt crashes over me, familiar and suffocating. But this time I don't bend. Charlotte isn't homeless, I reply, my voice steady. She has an apartment, and if that doesn't work, she has your spare bedroom. The silence that follows is deafening. The first call comes Tuesday morning while I'm pouring coffee. Aunt Linda's name flashes on my screen. Strange, she never calls this early. Grace, she says, her voice dripping with pity, the kind reserved for funerals and scandals. Is it true? Did you really sell your house just to keep Charlotte from moving in? Hot coffee spills over the rim of my mug, scalding my fingers. What? I snap. Charlotte called me in tears last night, Aunt Linda continues. She said you sold your home out of spite, knowing she needed a place to stay. Honestly, I never thought you could be so cruel. The burn on my skin fades, replaced by a fire in my chest. One by one, the calls start flooding in. Uncle Robert, cousin Jennifer, even my father's golf buddy Chuck, who I barely know. Every conversation sounds the same. Charlotte's desperate situation. My supposed heartlessness. Their collective disappointment in me. By dinner, I make the mistake of checking Facebook. And there it is. Charlotte's latest post. The hardest lesson in life is finding out who really has your back when times get tough. Family should be forever, not just when it's convenient. 27 sympathetic comments follow, including one from my mother. We're here for you, sweetheart. Always. The knife twists deeper. Later that week at work, my colleague Lisa stops by my desk, her face tight with concern. I ran into your sister at Starbucks this morning, she whispers. She told me what happened about the house. If you need help finding her temporary housing, my church has a program. My carrot slices crack sharply under the knife that night. What exactly did Charlotte tell you? I ask. Lisa shifts awkwardly. Just that you made a sudden decision and now she's basically homeless. She seemed really upset. I force a smile that hurts my jaw. Thanks for your concern, Lisa. But Charlotte isn't homeless. She has her own apartment and 2 parents with a 4-bedroom house. That night, I lock myself in the bathroom, fingers trembling as I text my sister. Stop telling people I'm making you homeless. It's a lie and you know it. Her reply pings instantly. You're selling the house I was counting on. What would you call it? I stare at the message, my rage simmering. She's not just twisting the truth. She's rewriting the story, painting me as the villain for daring to protect myself. And the worst part? Everyone is buying it. The roof came first. $11,000 I hadn't planned for. 30-year shingles that lasted only 22. Insurance didn't cover a dime. Then came the waterline break. 5,000 more, emergency repairs, landscaping destroyed. I canceled trips, picked up weekend marketing gigs, ate ramen more nights than I want to admit. And then the final blow. The heating system failed in June. Another $5,000 I didn't have. Every night after work, I'd sit at my kitchen table surrounded by spreadsheets, receipts, and bank statements, trying to make numbers balance that simply refused to. Tears came around then. Silent. Always after midnight. When the neighbors were asleep and no one could see me break. In the morning, I'd paint concealer under my eyes, tug at clothes that hung loose on my frame, and force a smile for the world. Grace, the capable one. The dependable one. The one who always seemed fine. But behind those walls, I was crumbling. I punched new holes in my belt rather than admit my pants were falling off. I told myself every sacrifice was temporary. Just until I got through this storm. Meanwhile, the house, the home I had fought so hard to buy, was swallowing me alive. 9 years of memories now reduced to boxes labeled keep, donate, trash. And through it all, I documented everything. Bank statements in order. Invoices filed by category. Screenshots of texts. A paper shield against the lies my family spun. One night, while packing books, I found a photo I'd forgotten, me on the porch the day I signed the mortgage papers. Keys in my hand, my smile wide and unshaken. That woman looked unstoppable. That woman had no idea what was coming. I set the frame gently into a keep box, my throat tightening. 'Cause I realized something that night. They will never understand the weight I've carried. And I don't need them to. The doorbell rings Saturday afternoon while I'm wrapping dishes in old newspaper. Through the front window, I spot it, Dad's Buick in the driveway. And behind it, Charlotte's red compact. No warning. No courtesy call. Just an ambush, round 2. The knocking grows sharper, more insistent. Against my better judgment, I open the door. They file in like a funeral procession, solemn, judgmental, ready to manage me. My mother's eyes sweep the boxes stacked across the room. "You're really going through with this madness?" she asks, her voice trembling with manufactured disbelief. I tape another plate into a bundle without looking up. "The closing's in 3 weeks. Your sister needs you." She snaps, her pitch rising. "Grace, you've always been selfish, but this is beyond understanding." The plate in my hands doesn't shake. My voice comes out quieter than hers, but sharper. "Did anyone ever ask what I need?" The silence is instant. Dad clears his throat, already trying to regain control. "Grace, be reasonable." I set the plate down gently, then look him in the eye. "I am being reasonable. I need financial stability. I need to sleep without panic attacks about bills. I need to stop draining my retirement for repairs I can't afford. I don't stop packing while I say it. I don't sit. I don't offer drinks. They stand awkwardly in my half-empty kitchen while I wrap dishes with steady hands. "We're your family," Mom whispers, her voice breaking between anger and guilt. "Yes," I say. "And I've never once asked you for money. Not for college. Not for my first apartment. Not for this house. Not even for the repairs that drained me dry." For once, they have no rebuttal. Charlotte stares at the floor. Dad studies the ceiling. And I realize, maybe for the first time, that I don't need their approval. The craving that ruled me my whole life is gone. I straighten my back, shoulders squared, eyes level with theirs. Not the daughter they can manipulate anymore. Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock sharp. The doorbell rings, and when I open it, my worst suspicion is confirmed. It isn't just Mom, Dad, and Charlotte on my porch. It's Aunt Linda, Uncle Robert, Cousin Jennifer. A firing squad disguised as family. I don't flinch. I let them in, leading them straight to the dining room. This time I stand at the head of the table, place that once felt foreign but now feels exactly right. The manila folder in my hands doesn't shake. Not anymore. Before anyone says a word, I begin, laying the papers flat. I need you all to see something. One by one, I spread the documents across the polished wood. Invoices, bank statements, withdrawals, a paper trail of the nightmare I've been living alone. This, I say, sliding the first page to the center, is the roof replacement. $11,200. Insurance covered nothing. Uncle Robert leans forward, adjusting his glasses, his frown deepening as he scans the numbers. I add the next sheet. Waterline repair. 8,200. The room is so silent I can hear the pages scrape against the table. And here, I place the third bill squarely in front of them, 5,000 for a heating system failure. My emergency fund was gone. I had no choice but to sell before I drowned in debt. My mother shifts in her seat, but for once, she says nothing. Charlotte explodes first. This is ridiculous. Creative accounting. You've always been good with numbers, Grace, twisting them to avoid your responsibilities. But Uncle Robert doesn't let it slide. Charlotte, he says firmly, what's your current employment situation? Last I heard, you were between jobs. Charlotte stammers. I'm exploring opportunities. The job market is complicated. Mom jumps in, her voice sharp. This isn't about employment, Robert. Family duty exists regardless of finances. Then why not let Charlotte stay with you and Dad? Aunt Linda cuts in, her tone laced with edge. You have that redecorated guest room, don't you? Current shifts. For the first time, the spotlight isn't solely on me. Dorothy clears her throat from her corner of the room. I've known this family 20 years. Grace bought her house without a dime of family support. Meanwhile, I've watched Charlotte get help with rent, car payments, credit cards, over and over. We all see the pattern. Some of you just refuse to admit it. Barbara, my financial advisor, speaks next, her blazer crisp and her voice colder than steel. Enabling dependency isn't love. It drains the giver and cripples the receiver. If you don't stop, you'll destroy both daughters. And then Thomas, quiet until now, leans forward. My brother lived with my parents until he was 42. They paid his bills, solved his problems. When they died, he lost everything within a year. He never learned how to survive on his own. He looks straight at my parents. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop rescuing someone. The air shifts. The family mythology, the one where I'm selfish and Charlotte is the fragile victim, begins to crumble. For once, I'm not the villain. The silence is heavy. For once, nobody rushes to smooth things over. Nobody claps back at me. And Charlotte can't stand it. She shoves her chair back, the legs scraping across the hardwood. This is insane. She snaps, tears streaking her mascara. You're all acting like I'm some kind of parasite. Grace has always been the golden child with her perfect house and perfect job, while I get ignored. Her words hang in the air, desperate and ugly. But this time, no one jumps to defend her. Not Dad. Not Mom. Not even Aunt Linda. Charlotte grabs her purse, fumbling to collect herself. If none of you care, then fine. I'll remember this. The slam of the front door echoes through the house like a final verdict. For a long moment, no one speaks. Uncle Robert clears his throat. I think it's time we start having honest family financial discussions. For everyone. No more secrets. No more silent enabling. He glances at Mom and Dad. His meaning is clear. This isn't just about me. It's about them, too. Mom's hands are trembling on the table. Tears glisten in her eyes, but for once they're not weapons, just raw, unfiltered grief. Dad stares at the floor, his jaw tight. For the first time in my life, he looks unsure. And I? For the first time in a family confrontation, I don't feel like the problem. I feel like the truth teller. The villain mask doesn't fit anymore. The doorbell rings again the following weekend. When I open it, I see them standing there, Mom, Dad, and Charlotte, right in the middle like she's part of a united front. They step inside without asking. Mom clutches her purse so tightly her knuckles are white. Dad wears a smile so forced it looks carved into stone. "Grace, honey," Mom begins, her voice syrupy sweet, "we've been talking and we think we found the perfect solution." Dad chimes in with his fake cheer. A compromise. Something that works for everyone. Charlotte follows them in, her expression rehearsed. Half gratitude, half martyr. "I really appreciate you hearing us out," she says, her tone soft, her eyes wide with practiced innocence. They settle on my couch, the only furniture not yet wrapped in moving blankets. I remain standing, arms crossed. The power shift isn't lost on me. Mom leans forward, her voice low, as if she's about to offer me a secret. "Instead of Charlotte moving in with you, what if you helped her get her own place? Just a little loan to get her started." Dad nods eagerly. "With your success, it wouldn't even dent you." Charlotte sighs dramatically. "Some people just have bad luck, you know. Not everyone gets the chances you did." The implication slices through the room. "You're successful." She's not. "You owe her this." I let the silence linger. Then I walk to the dining table where several documents are waiting. "I'm meeting with my lender tomorrow," I say, picking up a pre-approval letter. "The townhouse downtown will cut my housing costs by 40%. This isn't about Charlotte, it's about rebuilding my emergency savings. It's about my future. My financial health." Mom starts to protest, but I raise a hand. "I can't support Charlotte financially." But I reach into my pocket and hold out a business card. "I can help her support herself." Charlotte's eyes widen. She doesn't take the card. "Our marketing department has an entry-level position opening next week. The salary covers rent for a one-bedroom. HR already agreed to interview you." Charlotte's lips part, but no words come out. For once, she looks genuinely speechless. "This isn't charity," I add firmly. "It's opportunity. Whether you take it or not, that's up to you." The room is still, the balance shifting in ways they never expected. Charlotte shifts uncomfortably, her eyes darting anywhere but the business card in my hand. Dad clears his throat, trying to regain control. "Grace, be reasonable. Charlotte needs—" I cut him off. "No. What she needs is the truth." I walk to the coffee table, pick up a manila folder, and pull out a single sheet of paper. Neat columns. Bright red numbers circled at the bottom. "This," I say, laying it flat between us, "is every financial gift you've given Charlotte over the past 5 years. Car payments, rent supplements, credit card bailouts. Thousands upon thousands of dollars." Mom gasps, her hand flying to her mouth. Dad's forehead creases as he reads, the numbers impossible to ignore. Total at the bottom glows like fire. "I compiled this just from conversations you've had in front of me," I continue. "I suspect the real total is even higher." Charlotte's face flushes. "You've been keeping score? That's sick, Grace." "No," I reply calmly. What's sick is pretending endless handouts are love. This isn't support. It's dependence. And it's hurting all of us. Dad tries to speak, but no words come. He just stares at the sheet, his jaw tight. Mom's voice trembles. "We just wanted to help her." I lean forward, my voice steady, sharper than I've ever allowed it to be. Helping someone doesn't mean carrying them forever. The best help is teaching them to stand on their own. I pause, my eyes locking on Dad's. You taught me that once, remember? When I wanted to quit college because it was too hard, you told me, we're doing you no favors by making life too easy. You made me fight for myself. The silence stretches. And for the first time, I see it sink in. Mom's tears spill, but this time they're not manipulation. They're realization. Dad's hand rests heavy on hers. His voice is quiet. We should go. They rise slowly, like the weight of decades has finally caught up to them. Charlotte lingers a second longer, glaring at the business card still on the table. I don't need your charity job, she spits, but her voice lacks conviction. And when she thinks I'm not looking, she slips the card into her purse. The house feels hollow now. Boxes line the walls, rooms stripped bare of memories. 9 years of my life folded into cardboard and taped shut. On moving day, I pause at the doorway, running my hand along the frame one last time. This house was my dream. But I've learned something dreams can't teach you. Sometimes letting go is the only way forward. My new townhouse is smaller, simpler, but it's mine. The mortgage is lighter. The air feels freer. For the first time in years, I sleep through the night without the weight of bills crushing my chest. Barbara, my financial advisor, emails me. With this move, you've cut your housing costs by 42%. You've given yourself breathing room again. Well done. I sit at my new kitchen island, a camera box open beside me. My first real purchase in years, something just for me. Not survival. Not necessity. A choice. I run my fingers over its grip, feeling possibility instead of dread. The following Sunday, I walk into my parents' house carrying a bottle of wine instead of anxiety. Dad greets me with a hug, steady, real, not forced. Come see what Charlotte brought, he says, his voice different. Lighter. In the dining room, Charlotte is arranging flowers in a vase. She looks up, her smile softer than I've seen in years. They gave me my first business cards, she says, pulling one from her pocket. Assistant marketing coordinator. She hands it to me with pride. No defensiveness. No comparisons. For the first time, it feels like progress. Mom appears in the doorway carrying a casserole, setting it down without favoritism. Tell us more about your photography class, Grace, she says. And then to Charlotte. And you mentioned a campaign project? The balance has shifted. For once, both daughters have a seat at the table. Later that week, I host dinner at my loft. Dorothy raises her glass. To homes that shelter us and boundaries that protect us. Around my table sit the people who chose me, who respected me enough to let me grow. And among them, to my surprise, Charlotte, budgeting her paychecks with determination I never thought I'd see. Mom whispers, almost to herself, "We thought we were helping all these years, but we were hurting you both." Dad nods silently, his eyes heavy with regret. I glance at Charlotte, watching her crunch numbers with a focused frown. For the first time, I feel something I never thought I'd have for her, hope. And in that moment, I realize, liberation isn't just about saving yourself. It's about breaking a cycle, even if it takes a lifetime. Looking back now, I realize the house was never the true battle. It wasn't about walls or mortgages or even money. It was about boundaries. About finally saying enough, to being taken for granted, to being cast as the villain, to living my life according to someone else's script. For years, my family told me what I owed, what I should give, who I had to save. But the truth? You can drown trying to keep other people afloat. Walking away didn't mean I stopped caring. It meant I cared enough about myself to survive. And sometimes survival is the bravest choice of all. If you take one thing from my story, let it be this. Helping doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. Real love sets boundaries. Real strength says no. And if you've ever been made to feel selfish for protecting your peace, remember you're not alone. Studio microphone pause for a beat. Now, if this story resonated with you, if you've ever stood your ground when everyone expected you to cave, hit that like button and subscribe. Not just to hear more stories like this one, but because every click tells the world, my boundaries matter.